Today, I'm going to cover why no one wants to talk about how hard it is to lose weight, right? Like, no one actually says, hey, it's hard to lose weight before you get started or anywhere on the internet. They just give you a bunch of eat less, do this, take this. And it is so easy to lose weight because everything, when you see online, the marketing for it, they make it sound so freaking easy. All the information online is pointing you in the wrong direction for short term gratification, for a short term change, and it's just unrealistic. So, let's talk about the recipe of disaster that's on the internet. Not only are they talking about fat diets, cleanses, weight loss pills, it is insane. And then when it doesn't happen that easy, people are just like, well, W2F to this because it is not easy. So, I'm here to tell you, burst in that bubble, sorry. It is hard to lose weight. Weight loss that is actually going to sustain for the rest of your life. I don't know why nobody wants to talk about this. Do we not want to accept that it's hard because then we have to admit that we can't do it? Or is accepting that it's hard already setting us up for failure? Or maybe you don't want to work that hard. I'm not too sure. Everybody wants a quick fix, right? Nobody wants to do the boring shit when you're talking about, okay, well, this is what you need to do. You got to change how you're eating, you got to sleep, you got to do this. I don't think a lot of people really want to accept that easy as it sounds, it's not easy. And all the stuff that you have to do, I think because it's a full life turnaround, like it's not something that you can do for a few months and then you get to your goals and then you kind of fall back into your old lifestyle. I think the hard thing is you really have to change your full identity. You have to change yourself to get to the goal that you want to get to. You literally can't keep doing what you're doing. And I don't think that people want to accept that because, change is hard. It isn't easy to change your lifestyle and it isn't easy to say no to your usual routine. For me, one of the quick things that kind of come into my head, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, is when I was younger, I always wanted a quick fix. I never wanted to actually change my diet. I didn't want to add in going to the gym, or I didn't want to actually work hard. I just wanted the results. And this one thing I remember doing, which is like completely desperate and stupid, it's called the ECA stack. Literally, you go to the drugstore, you purchase ephedrine, caffeine, and Advil pills, and you just do that ECA stack. It basically increases burning fat, which is the same that you would do as if you just went for a goddamn 30-minute walk, Bonnie. You'd think being so desperate that I would just put in the hard work and change my diet and do the other things, right? Same simple. It's easy to always have an excuse to go home. You're tired, you had a long day, you're stressed. I'm too stressed to do this. I'm too stressed to think about this. I don't have time. I don't have time to prep my food, so I don't have to stress about it in the week. Or maybe you've had a hard day and you're rewarding yourself with a donut or a glass of wine and just not understanding how consistently you're doing it, or eating stuff that's not a traditional healthy food. And you say to yourself, I deserve it. I did okay today. I ate pretty good for today. And I feel like a lot of people are at this point, right? You want the easy road because everything else in life is hard. Dealing with stressors every day, family stress, work stress, financial stress, all this stuff is just hard. You don't want to add one more thing that's hard. And I get it. Food is probably a big area where there's so much gray area to talk about. When I ask someone about their nutrition and flat out they say, oh, yeah, I eat pretty good actually. When I actually dig into those people, so some of those people end up being my clients, or I just have conversations because I'm always interested in how people are eating, what people think. We often like to think the best and we don't like to critique ourselves. As hard as we think we are on ourselves, we also don't like to admit fault. And when the spotlight's on our food, it's hard to really be honest about it. I think one of the biggest things is we may really focus that we had a salad or we had a really healthy meal, and it almost negates everything else that we had for the day. We don't admit to ourselves that we ate bad. No one wants to have that slap in their face. When you're being critiqued about something, you don't want to be critiqued, especially about food. It's a really weird thing. Everyone feels this way. No one's alone in this. I don't even know where it comes from. I'm not sure if it's a psychological thing. When I think about when I actually made a change, and even now during my pregnancy, especially looking back, like when I was in it, I didn't see how big I got, didn't eat unhealthy. I opened my diet up to eating foods I don't regularly eat, because making sure that my son was starting his digestive enzymes and his microbiomes on the right path. I made sure that I didn't restrict any food groups while I was pregnant. I ended up moving a lot less than when I wasn't pregnant, and I pretty much was eating a lot more. So I ended up gaining a fair bit of weight. I think I went from, oh gosh, I was like 160, and then I ended up being like 205 on the day that we went into the hospital. So that's a fair bit of weight. After giving birth, I was still carrying weight, and it wasn't just, I hate when people say baby weight. It was weight. Seeing myself, it was hard. And I've talked about this before. I was, quite honestly, I physically hurt. Like my heart hurt seeing myself where I was. And that was not where I needed to be for myself. I tried my best to ignore it and to focus on, oh, I gave birth to my baby boy. He's healthy. I tried to give excuses for where I was. And that didn't change how I felt. Maybe in a quick moment, it helped me be okay with it. But at the end of the day, I didn't need to be there for my partner, for my husband, and for my son. And I wanted to make a change. I feel so strongly about this next little bit. I'm so passionate about it. And this is one of the things where everybody has their own opinion, everybody has their own whatever. This is mine. I will not have my son know that it is okay to settle. It is not okay to not take care of yourself. And it's not okay to be disrespectful or hateful towards yourself. I want him to know that if you aren't happy, you have to work to change that. You're not just going to sit and settle and be in that state of not being happy and trying to mask it with other things. If you're not happy, you make that change. You fucking get off your ass and you work to make it better. You are the only one to make yourself happy. I want him to know that you need to take care of yourself because you matter, and you matter to treat yourself with love, compassion, and respect. And I wish so freaking bad, my emphasis in my voice, I wish more people had this in them, truly had this in them, because I can close my eyes and I can think about, even still, oh gosh, seeing a video that was recorded. Oh God, we had a videographer come in and record talking about COVID and stuff. And I saw myself and I got into tears because I'm like, how did I look like that? And at that point, I was making changes, but I was so upset to see myself like that because that person was not happy. That person was not taking care of themselves. Or not so at that point, but to have gotten to the point where I wasn't taking care of myself in the sense of, how do I explain this? I was giving excuses to not take care of myself. I was tired. I was a new mom. It's okay. I put him first. And then I had this moment, I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to be okay with this. And I'm still not. I'm still working on being better because every single day, me and everybody else has the opportunity to be better. You don't have to do leaps and bounds in a fucking day. If you actually want something, you can make changes. And it doesn't have to be a huge overnight thing, because where I'm now, what, almost 19 months postpartum, and it's taking me a long time to get here. And I was very healthy before having my baby, and I was in good shape, and I took care of myself then, and it still took me this long. Mind you, I'm old. I'm old. This shit changes when you're old. But anyways, I needed to make those changes because I wasn't my best self, being unhappy and not being confident, not feeling like myself. Even the way I treated other people around me, that changes when you're not happy. I projected that shit on people. No one deserves that. Everything just changes when you're not happy and you're in that current state where you're not doing anything to make yourself happy, to work towards where you want to be. Even now, 19 months later, I'm still tweaking and changing to make things a little bit better. And also because I got mad goals, because that's just who I am. I choose to feel good. I choose foods that make me feel my best. And quite honestly, if you're okay with feeling the way you do, that's your prerogative. And this is mine, right? To each their own. But what I have a problem is when The same people complain about not feeling good, not being happy, and not happy with what their body looks like, and they're not making any changes. Make the change. It isn't easy. I'm not here to tell you that 30 days from now, you're going to be exactly where you want to be, and then you can just move on and get back to life. No, because when you want to change yourself physically, there's so many things that come into play. Your day to day life is going to look different than how it is now, because that's what obviously got you to your point. You're going to be incorporating different healthy habits. You're going to be that person that is at a party and says no to alcohol or no to having dessert because you just choose not to. And you choose when you get to have that.
So let's talk about what is hard. It is hard to go from eating out and not having to think ahead and plan ahead of what you're going to eat to changing where you are thinking ahead and planning ahead of what you're going to eat for the week and preparing that food in advance. It is hard work. It is also hard to go from coming home after work and sitting on your bum and just relaxing for the rest of the night to going from work to the gym and then home, or going straight home after work and going for a walk or a run. It is hard work. It is hard to say no to a tasty food more often than not. It is hard not to stay up late and drink some alcoholic drinks, some beer, some wine. It is hard to think about how to get in enough water in the day. It is hard to manage stress instead of sweeping it under the rug and hope it doesn't become worse. It's hard to make sure you're getting enough high quality sleep and to think about what you need to do that. It is hard to turn off the TV when you would rather just sit there for another hour and watch TV. It's hard to set boundaries for yourself, to say no to things that maybe aren't in alignment with your goals, or that you know it probably isn't the best for you to go to that function, or maybe you just have so much on your plate that you can't take on anything else. It is hard to set your own boundaries for when you work and when you rest and when you take that time for yourself. It is hard. But what else is hard is it's hard to get an education. It's hard to go to university and to even get a bachelor degree. What about a master's, let alone a doctorate? That is hard. It isn't easy. And it's hard when you work full time as well as you're trying to advance your career. And it is hard to study when you're tired or study on the weekend when you really don't want to. It is hard to work on a relationship that needs attention. It is hard to work with people you don't enjoy. It's hard to wake up every day for work that isn't your passion or that you don't look forward to doing. But we do all of this hard stuff every day. Why is it that when it comes to changing our habits, we overlook them and think it's not something that we can do, or maybe it's not something that we're willing to do? I've worked with clients who are so on board. They do everything to make the changes. They listen, they take in all of the information that we talk about. And even when they're making the changes and they're on board, it doesn't make it any easier. But they put in the work, they grind through the hard times, and they learn to know what works for them. So here it is, the truth. Losing weight is hard. No matter today, tomorrow, or next week, it's still going to be hard. The longer you wait, it's not going to get any easier. The more you think about it or talk about doing it, it's not going to get any easier. What makes it easier is putting in action, making the changes towards that healthy lifestyle that you want. And when I say it becomes easier, the actions become habits and they become second nature. It is something that you just do, it's routine. Just like what you're in right now, you are in a routine of an unhealthy lifestyle, or maybe there's areas of your current lifestyle that are unhealthy and could be healthier. So I'm not here to lie to you. Getting started and putting in the work, all of that is hard. But just like anything in life, everything that is hard is worth it. Once you start putting in the action becomes habit, the habit becomes routine, and it becomes second nature, and it is easier. So that's all we got today. We talked about how hard it is to lose weight, and there's no fluffy BS. If you want to lose weight, you just got to do it. You got to take action. You don't have to map out a perfect plan. You just got to make one change in the right direction and continue to do that until that change becomes mindless and you just continue to do it day in, day out, and then move on to the next and continually grow those healthy habits. All right, signing off.